Everybody, thank you for making it out to this webinar. This is the second part of a three-part series where we're exploring 360-degree video and pictures. And last week we talked about what kind of cameras are on the market, what are the price points, what are the various features. There's no holy grail of cameras right now. There's not a one-size-fits-all. It depends on the type of video or pictures that you're wanting to capture, whether it's low light indoors or if there's going to be motion, additional features that you might be interested in. I'll review that very quickly, but this week we're going to talk about the various types of software that are on the market. So once we have our camera and we've started shooting our footage or taking our pictures, how do we get those into Canvas and into our classrooms? So I'm Dr. Shad Nufer, the Director of the Department of Educational Technology at TCS Education System, and we'll be exploring this hour various software. So I have my presentation within a Canvas course, and I'll go ahead and put the link to this course in the chat if you want to follow along. It's an open course. You don't even have to be part of my institution to be able to see it. You can forward it on to other people. And this is how I've been gathering my notes and organizing my content. I have modules within this course that cover cameras, various platforms, the software that we're going to be talking about today, as well as some examples of applications. And that's what we'll be talking about next week during our discussion, which will be more of a town hall. It'll be more of a discussion on ideas, brainstorming, how can we really leverage 360, the capabilities that we have. If we get a 360 camera into the student's hand, what kind of assignments and assessments can we create using that technology? Or how can we use 360 to enhance teaching within our courses? So I'm going to back up and head out to the camera. So feel free to browse this section or review last week's webinar where I talk about various cameras, and these are various price points too, from about $80 to $100 to the top cameras about $1,000. Right now it's discounted to $700. So within that framework, a lot of the cameras cost $200 to $400, and I have examples, video examples, and examples of pictures that I've taken as well. So the first platform that I wanted to talk about is ThingLink, and I actually used ThingLink within my examples above here. If you click on any of the camera picture examples, then you'll be able to see a ThingLink interaction. Now, ThingLink is an interesting platform because not only does it support 360, now in order to use 360 video and pictures within ThingLink, you do have to pay for a license. The free version right now doesn't support that, but the licenses are fairly reasonable, and with that you get the ability to embed a 360 picture within your course, and this could also be a video. Now, ThingLink is not just a repository of pictures and videos. You can put hotspots on your video. So you can have a hotspot could be something that the user would mouse over or click on, and it can show a YouTube video, or it can show a fun fact, or it can show a picture. A picture can pop up, or a voiceover, or various other things. Now with this ThingLink interaction, I actually created several ThingLink pictures, and I put them together and formed something of a map. Now, I did my field testing. I decided to have some fun with these cameras, and I took them to Disney. So this is Disney World, this is Magic Kingdom, and I took each camera to various parts of the park and snapped a picture with each camera at each place, and I created a map. And so it's sort of like a walking tour. Now, you could do this on campus. This could be the main building of the campus, and you can have students walk around, and they can take a tour of the campus, and they'd be able to see 360. And these hotspots could be videos where you have a talking head or a voiceover explaining, sort of orientation materials, or this could be navigating through your course content. You could have a 360-degree representation of your various course content, and the students can walk through the course content in that way. Now, this interaction is within Canvas. I just used an iframe. I didn't use a very big iframe. I was just testing, how does this look on mobile? If I wanted full screen, I have the option to click full screen, and then I'm fully immersed within the imagery right here. And I can scroll around, I can walk around, I can look for those hotspots. And if you have the paid version, that hotspot can look like whatever you want. It can be an icon that you create, or they have some default templates that you can use. It can be a check mark, it can be whatever. This is only the default that I clicked on. So when I click on that, then I can walk to another part of the park. Now, if you have Google Cardboard or an Oculus device or any kind of 360 device, then this platform also it supports the virtual reality function. And you can see, I don't know if you can see my cursor in the lower right-hand corner, it looks like a pair of 3D glasses, kind of like those red and blue glasses that kids don't know about these days. If you click on that, now if I click on it right now, I'm on a computer monitor, so it's not really going to do anything. It's just going to kick me out and say, okay, well, I know you're not wearing a VR thing, but make sure that you put your device in a VR headset. So if I had a phone, for example, if I'm viewing this in Canvas, then I would be able to look around. In addition to, right now I'm using the mouse to look around, and you can see if I hover over this block, for example, it'll load to a different screen. But if you have a VR device, then you would actually be able to look around, move your head back and forth, and this dot in the middle is the navigation. So that loads up the hotspot essentially. I'm going to back out of that, hop back over to Canvas. So this is what 360 would look like using ThingLink within Canvas. And I think ThingLink's a great thing. And in addition to navigating through the hotspots, I could select in a scenario and go there. So, and you could also, you could use this for branching scenarios as well, that people take a virtual walk, a 360 walk through course content or through whatever situation or scenario you have, and based on the decisions that they make, then they'll end up in a different place. So let me hop back out to the modules. That's the top of my list in terms of platforms. The other platform, this is the low-hanging fruit, would be YouTube or Vimeo. YouTube and Vimeo essentially function similarly, but if you upload a 360 video to YouTube, and depending on the camera that you get, there might be additional steps. It's going to render the camera as a spherical video, kind of like a video that's the shape of a globe or a ball or a balloon. And then when you render it, you have to flatten it like a map. So it converts it from a globe of the Earth to a map of the Earth, kind of that imagery. And then when you upload it flat to YouTube, and this is an image of what a flat 360 video looks like, you can see there's a lot of distortion. It's good right around the equator, but around the edges, it gets very distorted. But then YouTube's able to take that spherical video and convert it into a 360 video. So conceptually, what I'm looking at, it's as if you take a globe of the Earth and you put the viewer or the user right in the center, like the core of that globe, and they're looking around, and they're looking at a sphere, like the walls of a sphere. And so YouTube integrates beautifully into Canvas. Now the thing that you'll want to do, instead of taking a link and copying the link, you'll want to click share and grab the embed code, which isn't really something that we are focusing on this, but you'll copy the embed code, and then when you edit the page, instead of copying a link, then you add the embed code, and that will put the video on the page as opposed to just a link of the video. I'll go ahead and cancel that out. So YouTube is great. When now you can hide or show player controls as well if you want to just play. If you know HTML at all, then you can adjust some of this code. If not, don't worry about it. Just copy the code that they give you. For example, you can change the width and the height to make it a little bit bigger. This is the default width and height, but you can change the width to something a little wider or more narrow. And so this is how YouTube plays within Canvas. It works very well, and the 360 functionality is in full effect. So I'm going to hop back out. We talked about ThingLink, YouTube, Vimeo, Canvas Studio. If there are any Canvas Studio users, and I hope that a lot of people are starting to get into Canvas Studio, and I'm actually creating a Canvas Studio course right now that will be a self-guided course that teaches the ins and outs of Studio, and I'll share that with the community when I get to it. But there's a consideration for using Studio with 360 videos. You can't import a 360 video directly into Studio. As you know, if I hop onto the rich content editor, I'm able to, I'm obviously not going to do a screencast or webcam capture, but there's also the add functionality. Now I can't upload a 360 video to Studio, but I can add a 360 video from YouTube into Studio. So YouTube is the one that actually processes the 360 part of the video. Studio doesn't have that capability at this time. So what that looks like, if I'm going to cancel out of this, I have two examples. One is that I uploaded it to YouTube, this video to YouTube, and then I put it into Studio from YouTube. And so you can see full functionality. This is a 360 video. Now the benefit of using Studio as opposed to just embedding a YouTube video into your class is that you have all of the Studio functionality. I have the details, I have comments. If people are leaving comments on the video, then I'd be able to see that. If I have people registered in my class, then I can see the views. I can look at each person and look at, okay, what part of the video did this person view, the student? Are there parts that people are skipping over? And I can do captions. Now this is the tricky part. YouTube captions its videos, but if you import a video from YouTube into Studio, then you can't automatically generate captions that way. So you'd have to upload a SRT file or a what else do they support? One of the supported files for captioning. So that can be tricky. One way that you can do that is hop back over to YouTube where you got the video, and where is my transcript? I should have a transcript on here. Usually you'll click on the what are those called? The kebab icon here, and you'll have a transcript. I guess there's no transcript because there was actually no audio. There was a jazz band and there was some clutter, but some commotion, but there was no dialogue. So I suppose it just didn't translate it. But normally you'd have that option to grab the translation. Now this other approach, I uploaded a 360 video directly into Studio using the upload or the drag and drop feature. And you can see that it's a 360 video, it's equirectangular format, and it wasn't able to process it to a spherical format. So everything's showing up right on the page here, and I'm getting, obviously this isn't a good effect. The center, the equator of the video looks fine, I suppose. At least the detail is there, but then when you get along the edges, then everything's distorted and people look funny and everything looks funny. And so you can't just upload a 360 video into Studio, but you can import a 360 video from YouTube and it will render the video correctly. So that's how to use Studio. I still think it's worth, if you can get it to YouTube, it's an extra step. Get it to YouTube, import it from YouTube, because I really like the functionality of Studio. Another option, and this is an option if you use Facebook as part of your course content, then Facebook supports 360 video, and Facebook also will export those. And so these pictures and videos here they actually live on Facebook and they're embedded onto a content page. So if I were to click comment, it's going to take me outside of Canvas because this is just embedded content from Canvas. And here I can like and I can view and I can interact with the content. So you just have to be wary of that. Do you really want your presence? Because in order to have a Facebook, the content up there, I believe that your profile needs to be public. And so that's a consideration. You know, is privacy, the personal privacy of the Facebook world important? Is it important to distinguish that from your academic persona? If not, then yeah, maybe you can get some Facebook action here. But if it is, then this might not be the best option. But Facebook is a very used platform. You know, it's used by billions of people, and most students have Facebook. Facebook also supports 360 video as well. And I'm going to mute this. This is some African drumming from a field, some field work, a study abroad course that one of my colleagues did, and so he was able to document a lot of their activities. And he used, if you're curious about the camera, now he has a better camera now, but he used the Insta360 Nano, which costs from $80 to $100 on Amazon, and it attaches to an iPhone, and it converts your iPhone into a 360 camera, and you can use the iPhone screen as a viewfinder. You can also detach it from the phone and use it as a standalone device as well. So here's some more examples of the pictures. Now the drawback to using one of those the cameras that convert your phone into a 360 camera is that you can't mount it on a tripod necessarily, so you have to have a presence. So the user is going to be pretty prevalent within the shot or within the video. If you get one of the cameras that is mountable by a tripod, then all of the cameras have mobile apps, and you can use the functionality of the camera at a distance. And I tested one of my cameras the other day, and I could get like almost 100 yards away because it has its own Wi-Fi, and so you connect to the camera's Wi-Fi with your phone, and the range is actually pretty impressive. So you can hide, but on the phone you can see the viewfinder, and so that's pretty effective. I'm going to hop down. So we looked at Studio, Facebook, Kula. I think it's pronounced Kula. I'll go ahead and do this. This is a platform that you can look into. I just used the free version. Now, Kula is a preferred platform for real estate. A lot of people use this to do walkthroughs of their houses or their properties that they have on the market, and that's its primary functionality. Now, if you pay for their actual paid service, then you can do things like put hotspots, and you can have more functionality. With the free version, you're able to upload a picture and then embed the picture. So this is a public picture. This is an example of the Views Plus, which is a 3D camera. In addition to 360, it also has depth. Here's the Gopro Fusion. That's what that looks like. And I have this embedded so that it's quite large. It takes up the entire width of the screen. And if I use this hamburger menu to expand it, you can see that it takes up full real estate. And in addition, I can maximize it to full screen as well. So here are various cameras. Now the Theta V, last week we talked about the Theta. As a camera, it's fantastic as long as there's not motion. When you get motion, then you get some ghosting effects, which is pretty sad. But if it's a static image, then it's actually a very sophisticated camera, and it has a big brother out now. Panel Raven, that's right. I had signed up. Now Panel Raven is it's a free platform, but I signed up for a license to demo the paid version, and then I let that license run out, and so I'm not able to view this. But if I search for Panel Raven, you can upload. You don't have to pay or even log in to put a photo up. So let me just search real quick for a photo. I'll try maybe the views, and I will drag and drop a picture at the castle, and it's for personal use. If it wasn't for personal use, if I wanted to actually make money off of this, then they would say, hey, you should really, pay for this thing. So this is what the image looks like. I can copy the link to this image, or I can grab some embed code. So let's just do that right now. I just copied the embed code. This is the symbol for embed code. I'm going to head over to this panel Raven example, and I'm just going to replace what I had. I am going to, let's see, what camera was that? That was the views. So bear with me. All I'm going to do is paste the embed code where I want it, and then I'll click save. And then I can see it interacting there. So that's the trick. Like, I didn't even sign into the platform. I do have a login, but I didn't log in. I just dragged it and dropped a picture, and I was able to grab the embed code and put it into Canvas. Now, it does have a watermark. Unless you pay the money, then you'd be able to get rid of that. But that's how that functionality works. Panel Raven is similar to Imager. If you know the platform Imager.com, where people can upload. It's a social media platform, but it's only for pictures, so people upload pictures. Panel Raven are marketing themselves as the Imager of 360 pictures. Orbix 360 is another thing on the market. This, again, like Kula, is mostly for real estate, or at least that's the applications that I've been seeing. Our realtors really like this platform. And you're able to have a navigation menu at the bottom here. So I uploaded a whole bunch of pictures that I took from Magic Kingdom, and I'm able to navigate and bounce around from one picture to another picture. Now, it's not necessarily intuitive in terms of functionality within academia. There is a thumbnail, and that's about it. That's the only indication. So if it's very obvious how to distinguish one from another based on the context of the situation or the scenario, then that could work. But I think it's pretty slick. I can minimize the menu. Since I don't pay for it, then they have a watermark on there. It does support VR, so I could put this in a headset and I'd be able to use it with VR. Here's the sharing. I could embed this with the embed code, which is what I did for that page right there. Now, if you are familiar with this platform called Google, then they have something called Google Maps. And Google Maps, I mean, being facetious, everybody knows what Google Maps is. They have the Street View, and they took that engine and made it public so that we could use that Street View engine and upload our own 360 images to it. And so this is essentially Street View, except for it's my own images for one, and I can put hotspots on it. Now, it's not as sophisticated as the hotspots that you'd find with ThingLink. It's more on par with Kula, but I can see, okay, so this image has various hotspots, and they're all listed right here. And I have a hotspot for the stonework. That's what I'm on right now. And then I can go to hotspot for maybe the castle mosaic, and I have a picture that pops up as well as some text. Another hotspot for the fireworks, which are up there, another picture and text. So I can either click on these hotspots, or I can scroll around and look at and click the hotspots on the actual page. And so this is basically Street View, and I created various scenes. So this first scene is at Cinderella's castle at Magic Kingdom. The second scene is at Main Street, USA, and I have various hotspots that I can look for, or I can just click through and see all the hotspots this way. Now, these aren't pictures that I took. These are pictures that I got from the Google Tour Creator platform. So other people had taken these, and they blurred the faces. And I can say, as a side note about that, you may want to look into your institution's, your school's policies, legal or copyright. Now, the way the law states is that you can go outside and you can take pictures outside. And if somebody happens to be in the picture, or if there's a car in the picture and they're in a public space, then the reasoning is that if you're outside, you can, or the rationale is that if you're outside, then somebody might take a picture of you. And you might take a picture and somebody might be in that picture. Now, from my understanding, I don't think that you have to blur people's faces. If you're going around campus taking pictures, you don't have to run around with consent forms for every single student who's out there. Now, if they're in a space that they would consider, having privacy, if it's within a classroom, for example, then you would want release notes. Now, if it's a situation where they expect privacy and they expect that there will be no pictures taken of them, such as a bathroom, then legally you cannot take pictures of people in the bathroom. So if they're expecting that this is not a public place, then you have to be mindful of that. If you're out on the street, if you're out on walking through campus, or in the hallways or something, then my understanding is up to your discretion. Do you want to be considerate of people, blur their faces or whatever? I don't think that legally you have that obligation. And if you capture a car and you capture their license plate and it's parked on the street, then a license plate is a very public. In fact, legally, you always have to have your license plate in the public if you're driving a car. Otherwise, you can get pulled over and ticketed. And so back to the platform. I'm just hopping through the various scenes. The scenes are linked at the bottom here, and I can grab the hotspots if I wanted to, and it'll take me to a hotspot. So I don't like this platform as much as some of the others, but it is Google, and I suspect that it's going to be better. And it's the same thing as Google Street View, and so you know that it's supported by a behemoth of a company that they want to take it seriously. So 3 of the cameras that I tested out were of the Insta360 family. I tested the Nano S, and the Insta360 One X, and I like those cameras. I actually like them a lot. I think that they're very good cameras. And Insta360 has its own platform that you can upload your photos onto their platform for free. Now it's proprietary, so they know that you can't take a picture with a GoPro and upload it to the 360 platform because it's not the right format. So this is what a picture looks like. This is a 1x picture. This is a fisheye picture. So you notice around the edges it kind of gets distorted because it was taken with a fisheye lens, this is the true view because the lenses are curved on this camera, and so this is the true view of what it captured. But in the upper right hand corner you can see there's a clickable link here. I can change that from the fish view to a planet view, and I can change it to a ball as well, and you can look around the 360 image like as if it's a crystal ball. And I can also put it as a normal view. Now it has to zoom in, so you have to be mindful of that, but you can see that as I move around, the lines stay sharp. This is also called architecture view. This is an option so that straight lines aren't distorted by a fisheye lens. And buildings, so if you're in a classroom with lots of buildings, you can see all of these lines. These are vertical and horizontal lines, and they keep the integrity as I move around, and they don't get distorted, as opposed to the fisheye. Now if I zoom in with the fisheye, this is actually working pretty well, but sometimes you get a lot of distortion. I think it's because I was so far away from the buildings, but here you can see a little bit of distortion, a little bit of curve in the building. If I was really close to that, then that curve would be even more accentuated. Let's see if I can find anything that's close to me. Not really. Let's try a different picture here. Okay, here is a better example. Since I'm pretty close, I'm only a few feet away, maybe a meter or two from this, then you can see as I navigate around the distortion that takes place. And so, because this is a fisheye lens, this is respectful of how the picture was taken. And I embedded this as simply a fisheye thing without other options. Here's another example. You can see that fisheye effect. If I click through, then I can go to the normal view. It zooms in, but you can see how straight those lines are. And all of the architecture remains intact for what we would see as, the integrity of architecture. And right here, this is an example of a video, same platform, Insta360. So if you get an Insta360 camera, then you would have that option as well. I can change some of the formatting down here. So this is the tiny earth format. This is the ball, the sphere. And then this is the normal view. So you can see the architecture is intact. All of the lines are straight. And then here's the fisheye view. And I can also change that. I can downgrade it from 480 to 720. And what that means is when a resolution is 480, then that means the vertical, you're looking at lines, rows of pixels and columns of pixels. And on the left side, there are 480 lines or rows of pixels. So 480 pixels tall. And typically the resolution would be 480 by 858. So there'd be 858 vertical columns, 480 horizontal columns. When you upgrade it to 720, that means there's 720 horizontal rows and 1,280 vertical rows there, which is essentially twice. So you can fit twice as many pixels within the same area as a 480. And then there's 1080, and then there's 4K and everything. So this is what Insta360 looks like. I think it's a really good option. If you have an Insta360 camera, then this would be a great platform. If you need things like Hotspots, then you might consider a platform like ThingLink. CoSpaces is another platform on the market. It's not something that I found intuitive for me, but it's something that's very widely used in K-12, and it supports 360. So you'd essentially create a world and you can navigate around. And this is a very limited use of what CoSpaces is able to do. Essentially, a lot of instructors, K-12 teachers, use CoSpaces to create virtual worlds. And so they might have assets around here. It might not be a 360 image. It might just be a 360 world where the students can explore, and they might be able to access a module over here, and there might be activities over here, and then they can walk around virtually in the world. And so they took their platform, and then they just allowed us to upload images into the world. So it's kind of like the background of the world. And I believe that I would be able to take this picture and put assets on here, but I didn't pay for the platform. I just tried the free version, and so it's a little bit limited with what you can do. But it is kind of fun. You might consider it. Flickr, I really don't recommend using Flickr. I put it on here because technically Flickr supports 360 video, but it doesn't embed well. You can see that all of these embed as equirectangular, and they're hyperlinked, which meaning if I click on it, it'll take me to the Flickr platform, and from here it'll render the image, and then I can see the 360 content. But as much as I tinkered around, I couldn't get this to embed cleanly into Canvas, which is a drawback because there are so many platforms that do embed into Canvas. And so unless you're a power Flickr user, I would probably stay away from Flickr. If you already have a big Flickr presence, and albums, then that's something to consider. Threes is JavaScript. Now this is just to play around with. This isn't something that you would actually use in Canvas, but I embedded this within the Canvas page. I'm gonna click the link and come out. This is the default picture, but what's interesting is I can drag and drop a picture on here and instantly it'll test. So you can see what it looks like. So in other words, this is a link that you might want to bookmark, and as you're playing around and experimenting, it's a very quick way to see what would this look like in an online platform within the browser. Now it always moves. I'm not moving it like that. If I click, I can drag it around, but it always moves, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. but it's still a very interesting thing to play around with, and a great way to test all of your platforms. So let me go back home. I think we should be getting to the end. Momento 360 was an honorable mention. Let me see that load up. So Memento 360, another application that I see used a lot in real estate. Real estate, you know, they were early adopters with the whole 360 movement for obvious reasons. I think education, we need to catch up to what real estate is doing, and maybe treat our assignments and our canvas or our campus orientations as a realtor would, you know, showcase the content in that way. There's nothing particularly noteworthy that I found about Momento 360, but it is an option and it embeds into Canvas. And you can see various examples here. So I'm going to hop back up. All right, and this is the list that, you know, I feel like there's a pretty comprehensive list of what's on the market in terms of hosting 360 video and pictures. And it seems like every month we're getting new entrants, or the existing platforms are becoming more sophisticated with more features and functionality. A lot of them are free. If there's one that you really like and you really want that functionality, then it may be worth it to pay. And I would say probably ThingLink has the most potential, I would say, in education in our field. I'd like to thank everybody for attending this session. I hope that it was insightful for you and it built upon the topics that we talked about last week. And I hope to see you next week as we talk about applications. And once we have 360 video and pictures, how can we actually integrate it into the pedagogy and into the curriculum and assessments? So I'll look forward to talking with you all then.